The outpost called Haven 7 was quiet when the human officer arrived at the docking bay. It was a small station on the edge of human-controlled space, not too large but important because many different alien species passed through it. Humans had been working for years to build trust with other races, and this outpost was part of that effort. The officer's name was Daniel Carter. He was not the most powerful soldier, nor the most famous explorer, but people said he had something special. He was patient, calm, and friendly, which made him a good choice for welcoming new visitors. Today his task was to meet two alien guests who had just arrived from far away. Twin sisters from a proud warrior race known for their sharp senses, feline movements, and strong honor code. Daniel stood straight as the shuttle doors opened. Out stepped two tall figures with soft furred ears, long tails, and sharp golden eyes that glowed faintly in the light. They looked almost identical at first glance, but Daniel quickly noticed the difference in their expressions. The first sister, who walked a little ahead, carried herself with a serious, almost cold manner. Her movements were controlled, precise, as if she did not want to waste a single step. Her tail moved slowly behind her, calm but alert. The second sister, walking just behind, had a brighter look in her eyes. She looked around curiously at the docking bay, tilting her head with interest at every detail. Her ears twitched playfully, and her tail flicked with quick, light movements. Both sisters wore dark armor with silver markings, showing their rank as warriors. Their people were famous for their skill in battle, and many humans felt nervous around them. But Daniel did not feel fear. He smiled in a calm way, stepping forward. "Welcome to Haven 7, he said in a steady voice. "I am Officer Daniel Carter. I will be your guide during your stay." The serious sister gave a sharp nod. "I am Sarah," she said. Her voice was firm, clipped, and without warmth. The playful one stepped forward next. "And I am Lyra," she said, her tone much softer, almost musical. Her golden eyes seemed to sparkle as she looked at him. "It is nice to meet a human officer face to face." Daniel bowed slightly, the way humans were taught to show respect. "The honor is mine," he replied. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned closer and pointed at her ears. "You humans greet with handshakes, yes? Our people greet in other ways. Do you wish to try?" Daniel hesitated for only a second. He wanted to show respect, so carefully he reached up and gave a gentle pat to her ear, the way one might pet a soft animal companion. To him it was only a friendly gesture. Lyra's ears twitched and she purred softly, clearly enjoying the touch. She smiled brightly at him. "Warm hands," she said with amusement. But at that exact moment, Sarah's golden eyes narrowed. Her tail lashed once sharply like a whip. She did not say anything, but her cold gaze lingered on Daniel longer than before. Daniel sensed something had shifted. He withdrew his hand quickly, unsure of what had just happened. He smiled politely again, but Sarah's expression did not soften. Lyra only laughed lightly as if nothing serious had occurred. "He is gentle," she said to her sister. "I like that." Sarah's ears twitched back in a subtle sign of irritation. "We are not here for games," she said coldly. "We are here to learn of human customs and training methods." Daniel cleared his throat and gestured toward the corridor. "Please allow me to guide you to your quarters. After that, we will begin the station tour." The twins followed him, but the atmosphere had already changed. Lyra walked with a bounce in her step, clearly enjoying herself. Sarah walked stiffly, her eyes fixed ahead, her expression unreadable. As they walked through the outpost, many crew members paused to look. It was not every day that alien warriors visited a human station. Some humans looked nervous, whispering quietly. Others looked curious, their eyes following the elegant movements of the sisters. Daniel gave a calm explanation of each area they passed: the hangars, the training halls, the research labs, and the mess hall. Lyra asked questions often, her voice cheerful. Sarah asked none, but Daniel could feel her sharp eyes watching every detail, measuring, judging. When they reached the guest quarters, Daniel opened the doors and allowed them inside. The room was simple but comfortable, with 2 beds, a small table, and a window looking out into space. Lyra walked straight to the window, pressing her hands against the glass as she gazed at the stars. "So many lights," she said softly. "Different from our home sky." Sarah set her pack neatly by her bed and gave a curt nod. "Acceptable," she said. Daniel stood near the door, still polite. "If you need anything, you may contact me directly. I am here to help with whatever you require. Lyra turned from the window and smiled again. Thank you, Daniel Carter. You are kind. Sarah only gave him another long look before turning away. Later, Daniel walked alone through the corridors thinking about what had happened. He remembered the way Lyra had smiled when he touched her ear, and the way Sarah's eyes had hardened at the same moment. He did not understand why. To him, it was only a small gesture of friendliness, but something about Sarah's reaction stayed in his mind. It was not just coldness, it had looked almost personal, as if he had done something offensive without realizing it. Daniel sighed quietly. Working with alien cultures was never simple. Every race had traditions and meanings that humans did not fully understand. He reminded himself to be careful. One mistake could create tension where there should be trust. Still, he could not shake the thought of Sarah's gaze. It was not only cold, it had been sharp, almost jealous. But jealous of what? He could not yet know. That night, in their quarters, the sisters spoke in their own language, their voices low but filled with emotion. Lyra laughed softly as she stretched on her bed. The human is interesting, sister. He is gentle, like no warrior I have ever met. He even touched my ear with care. Sarah's tail flicked angrily. You let him touch you like that? Do you forget what it means in our people's ways? Lyra tilted her head. He does not know. To him it is nothing more than kindness. That is no excuse, Sarah said sharply. It is a sign of closeness, of chosen bond. And he gave it to you, not to me. Lyra blinked, then smirked. Ah, now I see. You are jealous, Sarah's ears pressed back. I am not, she said quickly. But her voice carried tension, and her golden eyes burned. Lyra only chuckled softly and rolled onto her back, staring at the ceiling. Perhaps you will learn that humans are not like us, sister. They show respect in strange ways. Sarah sat silently for a long time, her thoughts heavy. In her heart, she would never admit it out loud, but the truth was clear. She had felt a sting when she saw her twins smile under the human's touch. She had felt something she had not expected. Jealousy. And though she did not know it yet, that jealousy was only the beginning. The next morning, the outpost hummed with activity. Crew members moved quickly between the hangars, laboratories, and training halls. Daniel Carter, as usual, arrived early at the main briefing room. Today, the twins would join the station's standard orientation and familiarization exercises. Lyra entered the room first, her ears twitching as she observed the human technology. She moved lightly, almost floating across the floor, her tail swaying gracefully behind her. Daniel followed her, keeping a polite distance, careful not to repeat yesterday's small mistake too soon. Sarah arrived shortly after, moving with precise steps, her posture rigid. Her eyes scanned the room, assessing every detail, every human present. Something in her demeanor seemed almost defensive. She had not spoken to Daniel since the previous night, and though she had not shown it, the memory of the ear touch still lingered in her mind. The briefing began with the usual introductions. Daniel spoke first, outlining the outpost's functions, its communication systems, and the roles of the crew. Lyra listened eagerly, asking questions about simple tasks. Sarah, however, remained silent, her sharp gaze fixed on Daniel. It was not hostility exactly, but something closer to suspicion, a careful watchfulness that Daniel found unsettling. After the briefing, the twins were assigned to a tour of the training facilities. Lyra bounded ahead, fascinated by the exercise dummies, the combat simulations, and the obstacle courses designed for human agility. She giggled when a holographic target moved unexpectedly, chasing it with a surprising burst of speed. Sarah, meanwhile, moved slowly, her steps calculated and precise. She did not engage with the simulations in the same way her sister did. Instead, she watched, observing Daniel's reactions and the behavior of the humans around her. Daniel noticed the difference immediately. Sarah, he said carefully, if you would like, I can show you some of the human training exercises. You may try them at your own pace. Sarah's golden eyes flicked toward him. She did not smile, but she inclined her head slightly. I do not require amusement, she replied. Her tone was neutral, but Daniel sensed the underlying tension. Lyra, noticing the quiet exchange, bounded over to her sister and tugged lightly on her arm. Come on, Sarah. You can try it too, she urged, her tail flicking playfully. The human is kind. He is not dangerous. Sarah's ears pressed back for a brief moment, her tail flicking in irritation. I am not here for games, she said softly but firmly. I am here to understand human behavior and training, nothing more. Daniel nodded, realizing that he needed to be extremely careful. He had not meant any offense, yet something about his earlier gesture had triggered a strong reaction in Sarah. In her culture, touches such as the one he had given Lyra carried deep meaning, implying trust or bond. Humans often did not understand this, and Daniel had unknowingly caused a minor offense. The training began. Lyra darted across the obstacle course, her movements graceful and precise. She laughed when she succeeded in leaping from one platform to another, clearly enjoying herself. Daniel offered encouragement, careful to remain neutral in his gestures, aware that Sarah's watchful gaze followed every action. Sarah stood near a set of target dummies, observing. When Daniel approached to explain the mechanics of human weapon training, she did not speak. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, listening. Her expression remained neutral, but Daniel could sense her inner scrutiny. She measured his words, his tone, and even his body language. Lyra, noticing her sister's distance, smiled teasingly. "You are too serious, Sarah. Sometimes it is good to let go a little." Sarah's ears flicked sharply, a sign that she was not amused. "Playfulness is not my way," she replied simply. Daniel realized that the situation was delicate. One wrong move could deepen the tension. He remembered what he had learned from past missions. Patience and respect often resolved cultural misunderstandings more than explanation alone. Throughout the morning, small interactions continued to create subtle tension. Lyra approached Daniel with a question about human handshakes and greetings. "Do humans ever touch in greeting like this?" she asked, her hand reaching toward him in playful curiosity. Daniel smiled gently. "Not usually. Humans shake hands, bow slightly, or nod. Touching is rare except among close friends or family." Lyra's ears twitched and she nodded, seemingly satisfied. But Sarah, standing nearby, pressed her lips into a thin line. Her tail flicked slowly behind her. The cold feeling in her eyes remained, though she said nothing. By midday, the twins were led to the cafeteria for a brief meal. Lyra chatted with several humans, laughing lightly and asking questions about the food. Sarah remained quiet, eating with measured movements and watching her surroundings carefully. Daniel sat across from them, trying to create a relaxed atmosphere. He offered Lyra a sample of human cuisine, which she accepted eagerly. "It tastes strange but good," she said, giggling. Sarah only glanced at the dish, then focused on her sister. "Do not encourage him," she said quietly, her tone firm. "This is a trivial matter." Lyra raised an eyebrow, her smile mischievous. "Trivial?" she asked softly. "You seem upset, sister." Sarah's ears flattened briefly. "I am observing," she said simply. Daniel could feel the tension thickening. Something he had done or not done was causing the serious sister discomfort. It was subtle but unmistakable. After the meal, the twins were scheduled for a simulation exercise in the training hall. Daniel led them, carefully monitoring Sarah's reactions. Lyra ran ahead, eager to explore. Sarah stayed close to Daniel but maintained a careful distance. As they entered the simulation room, Lyra reached toward one of the holographic targets. Daniel instinctively extended his hand, guiding her movement to ensure safety. Lyra laughed lightly at his guidance. Sarah's eyes narrowed, her tail lashing behind her. "That is not necessary," she said sharply. "He does not need to touch you." Daniel froze slightly. Her words were pointed and the tone carried more than mere instruction. He realized that she had remembered the previous day's incident. Sarah still felt the sting of jealousy from the ear touch, though Daniel had not intended it. "I am only ensuring safety," Daniel said calmly, keeping his voice neutral. "I mean no offense." Sarah's eyes continued to study him, sharp and calculating. "Intent is not enough," she said softly. "Action carries meaning. You must understand that." Daniel nodded, realizing that he needed to be extremely careful. The lesson was clear. His behavior, even if well-intentioned, had consequences in alien cultures. He needed to show respect not only through words but through consistent actions. Lyra noticed the tension and giggled softly. "Sarah, do not be so serious," she said. "The human is kind and means no harm." Sarah's ears flicked back slightly. "Kindness does not erase misunderstanding," she replied. The exercise continued, but Daniel maintained extra caution. He allowed Lyra to participate freely while keeping his distance from Sarah. Every word, every movement was measured. By late afternoon, the session ended. Lyra laughed and thanked him for the guidance. Sarah remained silent. her expression unreadable, though her golden eyes followed him until he left the room. Walking through the corridors alone, Daniel reflected on the day's events. He realized that understanding alien culture required more than simple observation. Subtle gestures, meanings behind touch, and unspoken rules shaped interactions in ways humans often overlooked. He also realized something else. Sarah's jealousy, though unexpected, revealed something important. She cared about her sister deeply, enough to react strongly when someone else showed affection, even casual affection. Humans were not used to such intense, immediate emotional responses, but Daniel understood that respect for these feelings could strengthen bonds across cultures. When he returned to his quarters, Daniel reviewed his notes on alien customs, focusing on feline-like warrior cultures. He made a mental plan. Patience, observation, and careful respect would be his tools to navigate this delicate situation. Meanwhile, in their quarters, the twins spoke again in their language. Lyra giggled, her tail swaying. "The human is interesting. He is patient and careful even when I push him." Sarah pressed her lips into a thin line, ears twitching slightly. "I do not trust such patience lightly. One mistake could ruin everything." Lyra only smiled, lying back on her bed. "Perhaps, sister, you are jealous." Sarah's tail flicked sharply, her expression stiff. She said nothing, but the tension in the room was palpable. The memory of yesterday's ear touch, the subtle feelings of discomfort, and the awareness of human kindness had created a quiet storm in her mind. And though she did not yet understand it fully, that tension would guide her actions in the days to come, shaping her interactions with Daniel and her sister in ways no one could yet predict. The evening on Haven 7 was quiet, though the station itself hummed with soft mechanical sounds. Daniel Carter had just finished his routine checks when a soft knock echoed at his door. He looked up expecting a crew member, but instead Sarah's tall, lithe form filled the doorway. Her golden eyes were sharp, and her tail swayed slowly behind her. "You are free?" she asked, her voice even, but Daniel sensed the tension beneath it. "I am," he replied, standing. "Is there something you need?" Sarah stepped inside without waiting for permission, keeping her eyes fixed on him. Lyra followed, hopping lightly into the room. "Sister, do not frighten him," she said teasingly. Her ears twitched and her tail flicked playfully, but she did not interfere. Sarah ignored Lyra. "We need to speak," she said simply. She crossed her arms, her sharp gaze never leaving Daniel. Daniel nodded slowly, motioning for them to sit. "Of course. I will listen." Sarah's ears flicked once. "Do not misunderstand my words. I am not your friend, nor is this casual conversation. This is about respect and the actions you took yesterday." Daniel's chest tightened slightly. He had sensed that the incident from yesterday, the simple ear touch, had affected Sarah more than he realized. Now he understood fully that her culture attached deep meaning to gestures that humans might consider minor. "I understand," he said calmly. "I did not intend offense, but I see that I caused one. Please tell me what I must do to make it right." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Do not presume to know how to make it right," she said sharply. Humans often act carelessly. They do not consider the weight of their gestures. Daniel remained patient. "Then teach me," he said softly. "I am willing to learn." For a moment, Sarah said nothing. She studied him carefully, her gaze intense as if searching for weakness. Finally, she spoke. "Your words are human words, but your actions? We will see if your actions match your words." Lyra tilted her head, curiosity and amusement mixing in her gaze. "Sarah, you sound serious. He is only a human. Let him speak." Sarah's ears flicked sharply. "This is not trivial, Lyra. Human actions matter, especially when they unknowingly touch matters of honor." Daniel swallowed, feeling the weight of her meaning. "I understand. I did not know the rules. I only wanted to be kind, but I will make amends in whatever way you require." Sarah's tail twitched. Her golden eyes studied him with unyielding focus. Finally she spoke, her voice slower and more deliberate. "If you wish to prove sincerity, you will follow the protocol of apology in our way. It may take hours, perhaps longer. You will endure without complaint. You will repeat words of acknowledgement, and you will act with patience. Only then may we consider your gesture sincere." Daniel nodded. "I will do it. I will follow your protocol, however long it takes." Lyra's eyes widened and she let out a small laugh. "Oh, sister, you really are serious. He will last perhaps, but it will not be easy." Sarah ignored her. It is not a test of strength. It is a test of respect and endurance. If your spirit is weak, it will fail. If your spirit is strong, it will succeed. Daniel bowed his head slightly, a sign of respect he had learned from his travels. I am ready. The first step, Sarah explained, was verbal acknowledgement. Daniel was to repeat phrases that recognized the importance of her feelings and the meaning of his previous gesture. It was not enough to simply apologize. He had to show understanding. Repeat after me, Sarah instructed. I understand that my actions carried meaning beyond what I knew, Daniel repeated carefully, enunciating every word. I understand that my actions carried meaning beyond what I knew. Sarah's eyes flicked to him. Good. Next, I respect your feelings and the importance of our customs. I respect your feelings and the importance of your customs, Daniel repeated. Hours passed like this. Each phrase repeated, refined, and repeated again. Sarah corrected the tone, the pauses, even the way Daniel held his hands while speaking. It was exhausting, but Daniel remained patient. He understood that this was not punishment, it was trust. Sarah was testing his endurance, his sincerity, and his ability to respect her culture. Lyra watched from the side, reclining on a small table. I think he will survive, she said softly. He has patience. Sarah did not respond. Her focus remained on Daniel, her golden eyes unwavering. Each time he spoke, she measured his words, his tone, and even the subtle gestures of his hands. After several cycles of repetition, the next step began. Daniel was asked to perform small tasks that demonstrated patience and attentiveness. He had to fold small cloths, align training equipment, and adjust holographic targets, all while continuing verbal acknowledgement of the importance of Sarah's feelings. Lyra giggled lightly as she observed him. He is doing well, she said softly. Not even humans are this patient sometimes. Sarah's ears twitched. Do not praise him prematurely, she said. Sincerity is tested through completion, not observation. The hours stretched on, but Daniel never once raised his voice, nor did he show irritation. Even when small mistakes were corrected repeatedly, he accepted them calmly, repeating the phrases and gestures with steady determination. Sarah's tail flicked more slowly as time passed. She began to notice something unusual. No alien she had trained with before would have endured this ritual without complaining or showing frustration. Daniel's patience was unlike anything she had encountered. Finally, after what seemed like endless repetitions, Sarah's gaze softened slightly. You continue without complaint, she said. This is unexpected. Perhaps your human patience is stronger than I assumed. Daniel bowed his head again. I have learned that respect is not in words alone, but in actions. I hope this shows my sincerity. Sarah's tail flicked, a subtle sign of approval. You have endured longer than most would. You have maintained composure. You have repeated acknowledgement without frustration. This is satisfactory for now, Lyra clapped softly. See, sister? Humans are stronger than they look. Patience is part of their strength. Sarah's ears pressed back briefly, though there was a faint, almost imperceptible smile at the corner of her mouth. Do not take this as approval of frivolity, she said. It is recognition of effort and understanding. That is different. Daniel nodded. I understand. Thank you for teaching me the proper way to show respect. I will remember this lesson. Sarah studied him for a long moment. Finally, she relaxed slightly, though her posture remained proud and formal. Then we may continue our mission tomorrow without further misunderstanding, she said. Lyra jumped up and bounced toward him. I knew you could do it. You are a good human, Daniel, she said cheerfully, her ears twitching and her tail waving. Sarah's eyes softened, though only a little. Perhaps you have potential, but do not forget, understanding our culture is more than patience. It is attention, observation, and sincerity. All must be present at all times. Daniel smiled calmly. I understand. I will continue to learn and observe. Thank you for your guidance. For the first time, Sarah allowed a faint relaxation in her stance. She had not admitted it openly, but Daniel had impressed her. Not through strength or weapon skill, but through persistence, patience, and the ability to endure discomfort while maintaining respect. Lyra laughed softly. I think sister is warming up to you, Daniel. Perhaps tomorrow you can touch ears again, carefully. Sarah's ears pressed flat briefly, and she gave a sharp glance at her sister. Do not encourage foolishness, she said, though a tiny twitch of amusement played at the corner of her eyes. Daniel chuckled softly. "I will remember caution," he said, still smiling. That night, as the station grew quiet, Daniel returned to his quarters with a sense of accomplishment. It had been a long day, filled with unexpected challenges, but he had learned more about the alien sisters, and about patience, respect, and endurance, than any training manual could ever teach. Meanwhile, in their shared quarters, Lyra purred softly. "See, sister? He has strength in ways we did not expect. I like him even more now." Sarah's tail flicked slowly. "Perhaps there is merit in observing him further," she said quietly. Her ears twitched slightly as she thought. "But he has much to learn. Humans are persistent, yes, but understanding is not simple. We shall see if he maintains this respect tomorrow." Lyra yawned, curling up in her bed. "I think he will. He is kind and he has patience. That counts for much, even in our ways." Sarah remained seated, eyes sharp even in the dim light, her tail flicking thoughtfully. She was not yet fully convinced, but the seed of respect had been planted, and though she would not admit it aloud, her feelings toward Daniel were changing slowly, in ways even she did not yet understand. The night passed quietly, but the events of the day would ripple through the coming days, shaping interactions, misunderstandings, and lessons in patience and respect. Daniel had faced the first real test, and for the first time, the twins had begun to see humans as more than simple, fragile creatures, and thus began a subtle shift in the delicate balance of trust and emotion, a shift that would guide all that followed. The following morning, Haven 7 hummed softly with routine activity, but for Daniel Carter, the day promised another trial. Sarah had insisted on continuing the formal process of apology, not as punishment, but as a demonstration of respect for her culture. Daniel had expected the ritual to be short, but as he prepared, he realized that patience would be required in ways he had not yet imagined. Sarah met him at the training hall, her posture stiff but composed. Lyra followed behind, her curiosity evident, her ears twitching with amusement. "Good morning, Daniel," she said cheerfully. "Are you ready for round 2? Daniel smiled politely. "I am ready, Lyra. I hope to understand more today." Sarah's gaze sharpened. "This is not for amusement. Every word, every gesture must reflect understanding. Are you prepared to endure this fully?" "I am," Daniel replied firmly. The first stage of the day's ritual involved repeating the phrases from yesterday, but this time with added depth. Sarah instructed him to not only say the words, but to express comprehension of the meaning behind them. Daniel repeated each phrase carefully, focusing on tone, timing, and sincerity. "I understand that my actions, though innocent, can carry great significance in your culture," Daniel repeated, enunciating slowly. "I understand that my actions, though innocent, can carry great significance in your culture. I acknowledge your feelings and respect the importance of your customs. I acknowledge your feelings and respect the importance of your customs." This cycle repeated for hours. Sarah's corrections were subtle but precise, raising a finger to indicate slight pause, tilting her head to correct emphasis, flicking her tail to mark proper posture. Daniel followed every instruction without complaint, understanding that this ritual was not only about words but about demonstrating humility, patience, and attentiveness. Lyra watched from a nearby table, occasionally leaning forward to whisper, "He is doing well. Not even humans are this patient." Sarah's ears twitched, but she remained silent. She was measuring every word, every pause, and every breath. By mid-morning, the ritual transitioned into a set of physical tasks. Daniel was asked to perform simple chores, folding clothes, organizing training equipment, and cleaning the simulation room. Each task required concentration and care, and he had to repeat phrases acknowledging respect simultaneously. "I honor your patience in teaching me. I will carry this understanding forward. I honor your patience in teaching me. I will carry this understanding forward," Daniel repeated as he carefully aligned the holographic targets, checking twice to ensure precision. Hours passed. Daniel's hands grew tired, his back ached slightly, yet he did not falter. He understood that the purpose was not to test physical strength, but the endurance of spirit. Sarah observed him silently, occasionally correcting his movements or posture. Lyra yawned softly, lying back on the table. "He is impressive," she said quietly. I think he is learning more than I expected. Sarah's tail flicked slowly. Do not underestimate humans. Some are persistent, others less so. Observation is key. As afternoon approached, Sarah introduced a new challenge. Daniel was asked to repeat the apology ritual while maintaining eye contact with her. This was difficult. In human culture, prolonged eye contact could be intimidating. In Sarah's culture, it was a demonstration of honesty, endurance, and sincerity. Daniel's muscles tensed slightly, but he held her gaze steadily, repeating the phrases clearly, calmly, and without hesitation. Recognize the importance of understanding your feelings before acting. I recognize the importance of understanding your feelings before acting. Sarah's golden eyes studied him carefully, searching for any sign of insincerity. None appeared. Daniel's voice remained steady, his tone calm. For the first time, Sarah felt a shift. This human, though different, fragile in appearance, possessed a quality her own kind rarely valued: patient endurance in the service of respect. Lyra clapped softly. See, sister? He is doing it. And he is not complaining once. Sarah's ears flicked back and she gave her sister a pointed glance. Do not praise prematurely. Completion is not yet reached. Even as evening approached, Daniel continued. Sarah had him sit in silence for several minutes, observing. Then she asked him to recount the events of the previous day in detail, emphasizing the moment he had touched Lyra's ears. This required honesty and clarity. Daniel described the gesture as he had intended it, expressing understanding of its unintended significance. I see now that my actions, though meant as kindness, carried deeper meaning. I respect this meaning fully. I see now that my actions, though meant as kindness, carried deeper meaning. I respect this meaning fully, Daniel repeated carefully. Sarah's posture relaxed slightly. She flicked her tail once, a small but notable sign of approval. You have endured verbal repetition, physical tasks, and observation. Few could maintain composure through all of this. Daniel bowed his head respectfully. I have learned that respect is more than words. It is shown through understanding, patience, and sincere effort. I hope this demonstrates my commitment. Lyra clapped her hands softly. I knew it. Humans have strength we cannot measure with weapons. They have patience, endurance, and respect. Sarah remained focused, though her gaze softened slightly. Perhaps there is merit in your human persistence, but understanding is continuous. This is only the beginning. Observe, listen, and act with care at all times. Daniel nodded. I understand. I will continue to learn. The final stage of the ritual involved a silent exercise in observation. Daniel had to sit quietly while Sarah moved around him, performing subtle gestures and actions that conveyed meaning in her culture. He could not respond verbally, only through careful observation, attentiveness, and acknowledgement. Hours passed. Daniel's mind remained focused. He noted every twitch of an ear, every flick of a tail, every glance. Each movement carried meaning, and he recorded it mentally, understanding the nuances that words could not convey. Finally, Sarah paused and looked at him directly. You have completed the ritual of apology in its entirety. You have maintained composure, repeated acknowledgement, performed tasks, and observed without complaint. Few humans would endure so long. You have demonstrated sincerity. Daniel bowed once more. Thank you for your guidance. I have learned much today. Lyra jumped up and hugged him lightly. See, sister, he did it. You have to admit, he is impressive. Sarah's tail flicked slowly. Do not mistake endurance for weakness or foolishness for strength. But there is value in your persistence. This human has shown qualities that even we admire. Daniel smiled gently. I will remember today. It has taught me more about your culture, your people, and the meaning of respect than any manual or lecture ever could. Sarah's ears twitched, a subtle sign of approval. Perhaps the human spirit is stronger than many realize. Your persistence, patience, and sincerity have earned recognition. Let this be the foundation of mutual respect between our species. Lyra purred softly, her eyes bright. I knew it. Humans are amazing. You passed the test, Daniel. Sarah's expression softened, though her pride remained. Do not forget the lesson. Respect is ongoing. Observation and understanding are never complete. But today, you have proven the value of sincerity, endurance, and attention to detail. Daniel nodded. I understand fully. Thank you for teaching me. That night, as Haven 7 settled into quiet routine, Daniel reflected on the day's events. The ritual had been long and exhausting, but he had gained far more than he expected. He had learned the importance of patience, attentiveness, and cultural respect, not only for Sarah and Lyra, but for all species he might encounter in the galaxy. Meanwhile, in their quarters, Lyra stretched, her ears flicking happily. See, sister? Humans are stronger in ways we cannot always see. He has patience, and that counts for much. Sarah's tail flicked slowly as she observed her sister. Perhaps you are correct. Humans possess qualities not measured by skill or weaponry. This one has endurance, attention, and understanding. These are strengths worthy of respect. Though she did not smile openly, a subtle sense of satisfaction settled in her chest. Daniel's actions had proven something vital. Even in small gestures, even in prolonged trials, humans could show a form of strength that was different, yet no less powerful than that of her own people. And for Daniel, this lesson in patience and cultural understanding would shape every interaction in the days to come, guiding him through challenges, misunderstandings, and the deepening bond between humans and the twin sisters. The morning light filtered through the observation windows of Haven 7, casting long beams across the metallic floors. Daniel Carter walked through the quiet corridors carrying a quiet confidence. The previous days had tested him in ways he had not imagined, but he had endured, learned, and grown. Today, the twins were scheduled for a tour of the station's training simulations, and Daniel was ready to lead them with care. Lyra bounded ahead as usual, her ears twitching with excitement. Come on, Daniel. Today we explore the zero-gravity course. I can't wait to show you how humans handle this. Daniel chuckled softly. I'll do my best, he replied, following at a steady pace. Sarah remained calm, walking slightly behind, her posture precise and formal. Her golden eyes observed Daniel as he moved, noting every step, every gesture. There was a subtle change in her expression compared to the first day. The icy edge of her demeanor had softened, replaced by a measured respect. She had not smiled yet, but Daniel sensed it would come in its own time. As they reached the zero-gravity training hall, Lyra leapt effortlessly toward the floating obstacles. Daniel followed, testing his balance in the weightless environment. Sarah observed silently, her sharp gaze taking in his movements. He was careful, precise, and patient, applying lessons he had learned from the previous days. Lyra zipped past him with a gleeful laugh, twirling in the air. See, Daniel? You are improving already. Daniel smiled as he steadied himself against the floating rails. Thanks, Lyra. It helps to have a good teacher. Sarah's ears twitched slightly and she allowed herself the smallest of nods. It was not a full acknowledgement, but it was progress. She had spent days testing his patience, observing his sincerity, and now she began to recognize the value in his calm endurance. The twins and Daniel moved through the course, navigating floating platforms, rotating bars, and suspended targets. Daniel paid careful attention to Sarah, guiding her only when requested and maintaining a respectful distance. Each action demonstrated the lessons of the apology ritual: patience, attentiveness, and understanding. At one point, Lyra attempted a tricky maneuver, and Daniel instinctively reached out to steady her. Sarah's eyes narrowed and she flicked her tail sharply. Caution, she said in her melodic but firm voice. Do not repeat the previous mistake. Daniel nodded immediately. Understood. I will be careful. Lyra giggled and spun away, clearly enjoying the playful tension between the two. Sarah's tail flicked once more, almost imperceptibly, but there was no further reprimand. The ice had begun to melt. After completing the course, the group rested in the observation area. Lyra sprawled across the soft seating, her eyes sparkling with amusement. You humans are strange, Daniel, she said softly. You are not fast or strong like warriors, but you have endurance. And patience. That counts for a lot. Sarah's eyes met Daniel's. Perhaps it does, she said carefully. Your actions over the past days have proven that words alone are not enough. Understanding, patience, and sincerity matter. You have shown these qualities consistently. Daniel nodded. Thank you, Sarah. I hope to continue earning your respect and learning from you both. Sarah's ears flicked and she tilted her head slightly. Respect is earned, not given lightly. You have made a strong start. Observe, listen, and act with care. That is the way forward. Lyra laughed softly. See, sister? Even she admits it. Humans can be impressive when they want to be. Sarah's tail flicked slowly. Do not mistake this as frivolity. Strength is shown in action and understanding, not in words alone. Remember that, Daniel smiled gently. I understand fully. I will continue to learn. Later that day, the twins attended a cultural exchange session with other species on the station. Daniel accompanied them, observing and translating when necessary. The session involved demonstrations of traditional practices from various alien races. Lyra laughed and clapped enthusiastically while Sarah remained composed, watching carefully. During one demonstration of a ritual dance from another species, Sarah's tail twitched slightly. She turned toward Daniel, her golden eyes softening. Your ability to maintain patience and composure is noted, human. Few could do so under observation by multiple species. Daniel inclined his head respectfully. I try to learn from those I meet, Sarah. Every culture has its wisdom. Lyra grinned, leaning toward him. See, sister? He really understands. You cannot deny it. Sarah's ears pressed back briefly, and she allowed herself a small smirk. Perhaps. There is merit in your approach. Observation, patience, and careful action are strengths. Human endurance is different from our physical prowess, but it is impressive nonetheless. Daniel felt a quiet satisfaction. This acknowledgement, even subtle, meant more than any words could express. He had learned that strength was not only measured in combat or speed, but in patience, sincerity, and respect for others. By evening, the twins requested a private session with Daniel. The room was quiet, with soft lights reflecting off the metallic walls. Lyra sat near a window gazing at the stars while Sarah remained standing, her posture still formal but less rigid than before. Sarah's golden eyes met his. The apology ritual has concluded. Your patience and understanding have been sufficient to demonstrate sincerity. Few humans would endure so long without complaint or irritation. You have earned recognition. Daniel bowed slightly. Thank you, Sarah. I have learned much. Your guidance has taught me the value of patience, observation, and respect. Lyra smiled brightly. See, sister? I told you. Humans are amazing in their own way. Sarah's ears twitched and her tail flicked thoughtfully. Perhaps. Humans possess qualities our species does not always appreciate. Endurance, patience, and sincerity are often overlooked, yet they are powerful. You have shown these in abundance. Daniel nodded, feeling a sense of quiet pride. He had faced misunderstanding, endured long hours of ritual and observation, and maintained patience throughout. In return, he had earned the respect of a proud alien warrior, something few humans could claim. Lyra hopped closer. And don't forget, you made me laugh every day too. That counts for something, right? Daniel chuckled softly. Yes, it counts, Lyra, very much. Sarah's gaze softened further. Take note, human. Respect and understanding are continuous. This is only the beginning of our interaction. But today, you have proven the strength of your spirit that is recognized and respected. Daniel smiled, bowing his head slightly. I will remember this lesson. I will continue to earn your trust and respect. Sarah inclined her head in acknowledgement. Good. Let this serve as the foundation for future cooperation between our peoples. Humans may be small and fragile in appearance, but endurance of spirit is a quality not to be underestimated. Lyra purred softly, clearly pleased. I think we like you even more now, Daniel. You passed every test and showed real strength. Sarah's ears twitched and she allowed herself the tiniest of smiles. Do not misinterpret this as frivolity. Recognition of effort and sincerity is different from admiration for entertainment. But it is sufficient for today. Daniel nodded quietly, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He had learned a lesson about patience, cultural respect, and the quiet power of sincerity. Through endurance and attentiveness, he had earned the respect of the alien sisters, especially the one who had once viewed him with suspicion and jealousy. The night settled over Haven 7. Daniel looked out at the stars, thinking of the long days and the lessons learned. He realized that strength was not always measured in power or weapons. Sometimes it was measured in patience, understanding, and the ability to respect others despite differences. Lyra curled up on her bed, her ears twitching happily. See, sister? Humans are different, but they have strengths we cannot always measure. He has patience, endurance, and respect. Sarah sat quietly, her tail flicking slowly. Perhaps humans deserve more recognition than we give them. This one has shown qualities rare among our people: sincerity, patience, and attentiveness. These are strengths worthy of respect. Though she did not openly smile, a sense of satisfaction settled in her chest. Daniel's actions had proven something essential. Respect, patience, and understanding could bridge the gap between species, even when gestures were misunderstood and emotions ran deep. For Daniel, the experience had transformed him. He had faced jealousy, misunderstanding, and cultural complexity. Yet he had emerged with not only the respect of the alien twins, but also a deeper understanding of what it meant to earn trust and honor across worlds. And as the stars twinkled above Haven 7, it was clear that the bonds forged through patience, respect, and sincerity would endure far longer than any misunderstanding or challenge. Daniel had proven that humans, though different, could earn a place of honor among even the proudest of alien warriors. The day ended with quiet reflection, lessons learned, and trust established. The twins had begun to see humans not as fragile beings, but as creatures capable of extraordinary patience, endurance, and respect. And Daniel knew that the journey of understanding, cooperation, and friendship was only beginning.